of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, item number 3 on our agenda is the adoption of the agenda. Do I have a motion to adopt the agenda as written?
I'll motion.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Mrs. Campos?
Mr. Atwood?
Yes.
Mrs. Rarica?
Yes.
Mr. Taylor?
Yes.
Mrs. Cole?
Yes. Okay, with that passed, we'll go ahead and move on to number 4. These are our discussion items. And item 4.01, we have our athletic director, Mr. Chuck Richardson. So I will turn it over to you, Mr. Richardson.
All right, good evening, members of the board, Superintendent Rowland, Board President Cole and Vice President Taylor. So I had some things to present this evening regarding our head football coach search. So Ms. Chesson will be my clicker this evening. All right, so as we see here, we had 26 applicants, and we received applicants from Ohio, Florida, Kentucky, Oklahoma, and Minnesota. We had 2 rounds of interviews, and those interviews were with 7 Norwood City School stakeholders, and then we're going to have round 2 tomorrow with those 7 stakeholders and 2 returning varsity football players. 11 first-round interviews were scheduled, but in the act of transparency, 7 were conducted. 4 of our candidates declined that day, actually, of the first round of interviews because 1 was offered a head coaching position and 3 others were offered position coach or coordinator positions at another school. We have 5 second-round interviews that have been scheduled and confirmed. Those are confirmed, so we're going to have those tomorrow. Tomorrow, February 8th. Our committee members were Mrs. Akers, who is the principal at Norwood High School, Danny Blair, who's a community member and the football announcer, Jack Bowden, who's a retired Norwood coach, John Cole III, who's a site supervisor of the Norwood Athletic Department, Mark Gabbert, who's the middle school principal, Adam McClain, who's the Norwood middle school intervention specialist, and also myself. Excuse me, 1 second, please. Okay, there we go. All right, as far as the timeline goes, I illustrated that here as well. And this information can be shared if anybody wants to see it. It is in our Google Drive, so if I can share that if we need to. So as far as the timeline goes, we posted a position on December 1 of 2022, and from December 1 through January 26th, we reviewed some applications. And then from there, I scheduled the first round of interviews. I had the first round of interviews last week. And then the second round of interviews was scheduled on Friday afternoon. Okay. All right, so we made some callbacks yesterday and also made some callbacks today for those who did not make the second round. And then, of course, today is our committee meeting, and I am presenting a timeline of the update. Tomorrow will be our second round of interviews. I like to take 24 hours to kind of get my thoughts together and have any more dialogue with our panel members if we need to do that. And then I want to notify and offer the next head football coach the position on Friday, February the 10th. And then after that, I will submit the candidate's name for board approval, and I will alert the local media of our hire. So plan to do all that on Friday afternoon. All right, and then because of next week's meeting and the state basketball tournament starting next week as well, on the boys' side of it, I will publicly introduce our new head football coach on February the 20th. And then we have a players-only meeting, so whomever that person is that we hire, get a chance to meet the returning players and even those who might be interested in playing football, grades 8 through 11 on February 21st. And then we will conduct a parent meeting on February 22nd. So that's more so a parent meeting, community meeting. Plan to do that in the high school where they have a meet and greet with our new head football coach. And the timeline might seem a little funky just because of the state basketball tournament and what days we might be playing games and such. I want to make sure that we can maximize the time of our candidate and have the community come out and ask any questions and meet our candidate as well. All right, so to kind of hedge my bet, we did hire a strength and conditioning coach. I know a lot of schools have started already. I met with our student athletes today and kind of let them know what the process was. So just to give you some more information on that, our off-season strength conditioning program. Coach Leah Reichman has been hired and subject to board of approval tonight, so at the committee meeting. And then Coach Reichman will work with all 20 of our varsity programs. And even in her interview process back in late December, early January, I let her know that varsity football was the main priority until our head football coach has been hired. So pending the board of the board approval this evening, her first session will be on Thursday, February the 9th at 3:15 p.m. in the weight room. So she met with our student athletes today who are interested in playing football, and we let them know if you're not playing another sport, that you will be in the weight room. The term I'll be using, and Mr. Taylor's a former football player, so he would know what that is as well. So Ms. Atwood, hanging and banging is what we want to be doing right now. So we want to be active. We let our student athletes know what the expectations are. So right now we should be in the weight room. This is when we earn our salt. We earn our just due. What happens in August, September, October, and hopefully November, it comes through in the weight room. So we want to make sure that our student athletes are well conditioned, learn proper lifting techniques, and get the conditioning that they need so we will be equipped to be a playoff ready football team come November. Okay. All right, that's it. But of course, I'm open to any questions, any comments. We want to make sure we get the right candidate in here this time, a candidate that's going to lead the district moving forward, and move our program where we want to be moved to.
So I do have a comment to make, and it's not necessarily so much a question. It's just a point of clarity. So with this being the committee meeting tonight, we are not able to officially vote and approve any candidate. But having said that, the superintendent has full authority to let that person go ahead and start working until our official board meeting later this month.
Mm-hmm.
So just a little bit of clarity, anybody watching this.
Yeah.
So there's no vote tonight.
And to that point, Brandon, is it okay if Mr. Richardson releases the name of the candidate on Friday? Like, is that okay, or should that be held off?
No, that's the recommendation from Mr. Richardson and the
Okay.
superintendent. There's no issue with that.
Okay. I was just making sure.
The only issue would be is if a supermajority of the board disagreed with that.
Right. Okay.
Right, and I don't think that's going to be the case.
Right. Of course not. When I saw the media, I thought, oh, okay.
Yeah.
We'll put out there that you'll approve it officially
Okay.
on the 23rd at the next board meeting, when we do that, Chuck.
Right.
Pending board approval.
Pretty board approval, correct.
Any other questions?
My child plays tennis. Should I tell her to hang and bang?
Absolutely.
I just learned about it tonight.
When we start the strength and conditioning with tennis,
I need her to be playoff ready.
Yeah, for sure.
Just kind of know the terms.
I know. You guys going to have to help me out. I'm not sportsy. Teach me
It's all
the
good.
vocabulary.
It's all good.
Anything else? All right. Thank you, Mr. Richardson.
All right, thank you, President Cole. Thank you for the time tonight, everyone.
All right, moving on to item 4.02. This is our Norwood High School update, and we have Principal Mrs. Akers with us, so I'll turn the floor over to you.
And thank you for having me. Superintendent Ronan invited me tonight because later on your agenda, we are going to be presenting our program of studies for the 23, 24. I have the wrong. Anyway, so that's coming up in the agenda. So go ahead and click to the. There we go. So we want to start off just by telling everyone about our mission at Norwood High School. So it's to provide every student with an educational experience that fits their individual career goals and prepares them for a future after graduation. Students are our priority in the school. Change is reality, so you will see a couple of additions to our program of studies. but collaboration is our strategy. So we always work together to make these transitions to the new programs. So I just wanted to take a moment to highlight some of the things that you're going to see, or that you probably already, I hope, know about Norwood High School. So first off, Norwood High School offers 11 advanced placement courses that you will see throughout that program of studies. It could be anything from AP Chemistry to an AP Spanish course, and on and on. We also offer CCP courses. In-house, we have CCP Engineering and CCP English courses. Students may also choose, if you know what CCP is, it's a dual credit opportunity for students, so they can earn high school and college credit while still in high school. They may also attend off-campus sites, so we have students that have attended Xavier, UC, Cincinnati State. All those opportunities are available to our students. Great Oaks. So we still have that partnership. It is a wonderful opportunity for students at Norwood High School. Great Oaks is our partner for career and vocational programming. We currently have 37 students at Great Oaks campuses. Success Academy. Our goal, obviously, is to expose students to future options and provide opportunities, whether it be employment or preparing them for post-secondary institutions. Our Success Academy is one of those options. Our Success Academy has 55 students right now. In the Success Academy, it offers credit recovery, work credit, and proudly pre-apprenticeship now through our Success Academy. Work credit, and I'm going to just jump back one little bit. Our work credit, when I say that, students can earn a work-study elective credit towards their graduation if they hold down a job while they were attending school. Okay, so yeah, we are. So I talked very touched on our pre-apprenticeship opportunities that are now available. This is a project we've been working on for a number of years. If you look, I know it's hard to see, but that little center picture right there is Senior Nathan Walls. He is our very first pre-apprentice student from Norwood High School. He is studying construction, and he works directly in the field. When he completes this construction program, this pre-apprenticeship program, he will leave with 5 certifications. He's going to have his Bobcat certification, forklift certification, OSHA certification, CPR, and a construction certificate. And so we are so proud to be able to offer this opportunity for him. What we are hoping is that it expands and that we are going to move fully into an apprenticeship type program. We have submitted our plan to the state of Ohio, and we're just waiting that final approval. It takes them a little bit longer sometimes. We also have specialized units that continue to support our students with transition courses and help prepare them for adult life. Our Prepared for Success course is a chance for all of our students to earn industry credentials and diploma seals that are now part of the graduation process. So graduation is a little different than when we were in school. They have pathways. You have to earn seals. You have to earn your credits. So there's a whole bunch of navigation that goes into it. So we're really proud that we are caught up and we're following through with all of those issues. So what is coming now, Norwood High School is using pathways, in particular in math, that are tailored to each student based on their career aspirations. So Ohio launched a new initiative in mathematics last year with the purpose of providing opportunities for students to choose coursework that has been designed with a focus on relevance, flexibility, and rigor. So As you can see in the next bullet point, there are 2 new courses coming to the high school. One is in our English department. It is mythology 2, and it's called World Mythology. And the second is the math course I'm talking about, modeling and reasoning. You may remember last year we piloted a computer science course in math. And then coming up, we applied, for our second one, and we received approval just a few weeks ago. So we are adding it to our curriculum. Modeling and reasoning is our second math course that we're offering to strengthen those math pathways. What math pathways means is we are tailoring to whatever the career cluster a student is interested in to fit their math needs. So not everybody is going to go into a STEM career. So that's the purpose. Okay. I'm going to take a sip of water later on. So also included, and I'm very proud about, are student activities and leadership opportunities. There is something for everyone at Norwood High School. So I listed just a few highlights. Student council, who is, of course, is in charge of planning and executing many of our dances, spirit events, pep assemblies, and positive peer support events. Of course, our Hope Squad, which many of you, if you remember last year's presentation, our Hope Squad are student members that are voted in by their peers. And so they are a suicide prevention group, and they work under Terry Viltruckus and Melissa Stacy. They are their sponsors. Avenues for Success, of course. We're very aware of what their opportunities are, but we are so happy to be able to support and engage students with after-school opportunities, clubs, different summer events, things that go on throughout the school year. They provide educational supports, for example, our homework help program, and some tutoring goes on through Avenues. We have PIP, and Miss Glenna Edwards is here. She helps with our PIP group. PIP members provide support and guidance to students throughout the school year. PIP stands for Positively Influencing People. It originated as a substance prevention group, and all of those students are taught the 6 strategies of substance misuse prevention, and they are encouraged to do school and community-based projects. Most recently, if you remember from the status report, the group is leading the charge in High School Wednesday Wellness Buffet Challenges. That's a mouthful. So we are very excited for that. And all of these groups that I just talked about, all of them are student-driven. They lead the charge. They come up with ideas. They provide us feedback so that we can act on it. So I'm really proud of our student leadership that we have. Of course, Norwood Athletics, can't miss that. Tell me if I'm wrong, Mr. Richardson, but we have 14 different sports that are offered at Norwood High School. But, 20? Miss Jones told me 14. Now that's we have women's, men's, and co-ed activities, so it's a whole mess. Do you think she added some together that were co-ed? Okay. Obviously, Norwood Fine Arts. We have so many wonderful groups in our Norwood Fine Arts. Students have an abundance of opportunities to express their creativity, whether it be orchestra, theater, marching band, jazz band, silhouettes, or choir. There truly is something for everyone. So if you can go to the next. Here's I put a montage of happy faces just to show you all the things and fun things that go on at Norwood High School, whether it be in the classroom, doing community service, field trips, pep rallies, We had our student group do fundraisers. So it's all just, I wanted you to have a peek. So thank you. Any questions?
Is there a blood drive in school?
There was a blood drive at school, and I can't remember the names or the amounts now, but I think we're trying to plan another one because it was so successful. Yes. It's a fun day. Actually, I think it was Halloween this year, and there were some costumes.
So I have a couple of questions.
Okay.
Was it last month or was it the month before we had a presentation? And it was from Mr. Westerndorf. Do you remember which month it was?
Last one.
Yeah. So, technical guy, right? I'm data driven. So what can you share? Mr. Westerndorf's presentation, he shared with us some data about how behaviors were changed with the PAC system in the elementary schools. What can you, is there anything that you can make a statement to or share with us in relation to behavior in the high school and how it's improving or staying steady or?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, so we do PBIS,
Yeah.
positive behavior supports. Our core essentials is what what we call our main focus. So we have different things, words of the month, and we focus on our Pride Plan. That's been our big push this year because yes, you are right. We want to teach about the expectations and what students need to be, our expectations for students at Norwood High School.
Right.
Each advisory focuses, especially on Wednesday, is our what we call Wellness Wednesday. So we are doing all these activities to try and build teamwork and things and teach the Pride Plan and follow through and reteaching. It has been, we have had, I can say that our number one behavior problem is tardies. Tardies either to school or to class. That is our number one. So that has been in discussion through our advisories. I don't have the numbers, sorry, exactly. I can give them to you, I can forward them to you, because we do pay attention to those trends.
Yeah.
And where a behavior might be happening. So is it in a classroom? Is it, in the hallways, in the cafeterias? Where are our target places?
Right.
What is the behaviors? So we look at those and we act accordingly, I hope. So if we notice that there's a trend in something, we try and address it through our PBIS. Because, and again, we want the students to take ownership of themselves. Yes, I can give you discipline numbers, but we want the students to be responsible.
Gotcha. Okay. I have a second question, and this is related more on the educational side with respect to growth. I know, coming out of the whole COVID thing where, we're trying to recover some lost education. Where do you see us making the biggest gains?
So right now, honestly, if we're talking about growth, this math has been one of our big areas that we have focused on over the last 3 years. And we have made changes that I think are positively, we're doing different map testing and different kinds of growth in our math department. I don't want to give away, I don't want to jinx myself because EOCs are coming up in April, but I think we're going to see a huge growth number in our math department this year. That's what I'm hoping.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Any other questions?
I was just to say thank you for having so many different options for these kids so we can help all the kids. And I was just stressing to my own kids,
take all the AP and CCP classes, you will save us thousands of dollars.
Alice, your microphone is off, by the way. There you go.
I turned it off so I would be quiet while Tina was speaking. But I was going to say thank you for having so many different varied classes so that we can help all the different kids in their different ways that they need. And especially I was telling my own children just the other day, I need you to take all the AP classes and the CCP classes. You will save us thousands of dollars. And I think that's really huge of a thing that we're doing for them. And then the job thing, like that kid is good.
We're very
That's so
excited
cool.
about it.
Yeah, and all the certifications they could get. I mean, that is saving them thousands of dollars too. They'd have to pay for those certifications outside of high school. Take advantage of these things, everybody.
Anything else? Thank you, Mrs. Akers. All right, so moving on in the agenda, number 5, this is personnel, and I'll turn the floor over to Superintendent Ronan.
Thank you, Madam President. I have a short personnel report this evening. We just have one resignation. Morgan Love is our student assistant who's leaving us. She will be missed. Now, under 5.02 employment, I don't have any certificated hires, although we will have hopefully our football coach and our strength coordinator listed for the board meeting later this month. I do, however, have pupil activity contracts for our spring sports. As you can see, there's a list here for baseball and track, etc. Those are our staff members who are stepping up and willing to coach our young people. Then under change of status, we just have 2 employees who currently work for us, and their title or their supplemental contract is changing slightly. So that's what that is about. And under Avenue Success, we do have a site staff substitute, which is always nice because we do need some subs these days, especially in the winter months. Now, what I really want to talk to you about is 5.03. This is the super severance. It's a retirement incentive that the district negotiated with the Norwood Teachers Association last summer. And basically, it needs a few tweaks. As we started to work through the program, we only had one person retire last year, and he retired late in August because I think there was confusion around the dates and how it worked. So we have worked with the NTA to explain it more fully and, for instance, extend it through the full length of the contract, which is 2 more years. We want to pick up those who were retirement eligible prior to last summer, but they were confused as to whether they were eligible. We want to put dates in it so that we get notification in the spring and the person retires in June and not be able to wait until August, because that leaves us scrambling to look to replace them. So I figured this is a much improved MOU, and the plan is next Monday on the 13th, NTA will vote to ratify, and then it'll come back to you at the next board meeting for your approval. So that is what this is about. It's just an improved version of the MOU from last summer. Thank you. And that concludes my report.
Okay. All right, item 6, this is the Education Committee, and I will turn it over to Mrs. Rarica.
Thank you. We have a membership resolution for the Ohio High School Athletic Association. We have 2 new courses at the Norwood High School, which Tina told us about, the mythology and the new math class. And we have our whole schedule of Norwood High School program of study. And we have a few field trips. Norwood View second graders are going to Taft Theater and Cincinnati Zoo. And high school 10th through 12th graders are going to Shepherd Chemical.
So I do have a discussion item for this.
Okay.
And this is more of just making a comment and as opposed to anything else. But as it relates to the adoption of 2 new courses for Norwood High School, love it. Full support of it. But that kind of begs the question as we strategically look moving forward, now that we're a little bit more of an open enrollment district, how do we want to brand ourselves? And branding ourselves is how do we want the greater community to look at us as a district? Like, what's going to be the thing that really sets us apart? Now, Principal Akers did a great job in her presentation of showing all of the things that we have in the district, and there's a lot of goodness that's happening in our district. But when you're looking at branding and strategically moving forward, and I'm talking not this year or next year, I'm talking 3 years, 5 years, 7 years down the road, what do we really want to be our thing for this district? And to me, the thing that screams at me every time I think about this, and I know Principal Akers said not everybody is destined for STEM, but the thing that screams at me, especially for this district because of our infrastructure, is STEM. STEM, I think, is something that we can strategically start looking at for the middle school and the high school curriculum, right? And focus on more of those AP courses and more of those college credit plus. I mean, how many other districts are having in-house college level engineering classes, right? Let's build on that. We have a functioning planetarium in our building. Let's make better use of that, right? And start offering more courses with that. So that way, when people look at this district 5 years from now, right, Norwood is the STEM school to set you up for the next level, right? It doesn't mean it has to be college. You could do STEM and still do the construction aspect of it, right? It's not just about all going to college, but I think we need to kind of focus strategically on what's going to be our branding model on how we market ourselves to the greater region. So I know it's a little bit of a discussion, but I think it's a good opportunity since we're looking at, mythology and modeling and reasoning. I love the fact that we're going to be offering more classes with statistical analysis, right? I think that's fantastic.
Thank you, and I see Glenna scribbling things down because Glenna and I met with the county marketing folks.
Yeah.
So I want to make sure we have everything you just mentioned on the list because we are looking at marketing materials for the district.
Right. Yeah.
So thank you.
Yeah. I mean,
Sometimes we forget, to market our planetarium or whatever it is.
Right. So, I mean, it's there. Let's make better use of it. Let's find, some way that we can actually get teachers that, can have classes in that space and utilize that space. I mean, how fantastic would that be as a selling point a couple years from now that says, as the kids are coming up from the elementary into the middle school, that says you can take classes using all of these resources.
You're right, we could have the next Carl Sagan right here in Norwood.
Absolutely. Same thing with the TV studio, right? We have that functioning TV studio in there. And we could do the same thing. It's a different part of STEM, right? That goes more into the broadcasting side of it. But if you're having, classes in there, next thing you know, you've got Norwood kids doing, school news every week or whatever. Or
They don't.
What's that?
They don't do that.
The clubs.
Oh, yeah, the clubs do the film.
Right. But we have the ability to really focus on STEM and build something that is unique into the region. But I think all of this is great.
Yeah, it's a great point. Any other thoughts on what Brandon said, or just any new thoughts? Yeah, even while he was talking about the planetarium, I forgot about the TV studio.
Exactly.
She's right next door, yeah.
I mean, and just even the NCT updates at the board meetings, I mean, those kids are so excited to be a part of that program. So, yeah, that would be...
Having a functional planetarium back would be fantastic.
Well, apparently it does function. One of my kids volunteered there, and a bunch of Boy Scouts came to it, and they did a thing for them. So
We
it
used to go
is
to it all the
functioning.
time. I mean, we used to go to it all the time.
There are programs, they offer different things, different classes, if it's their need.
Right, but that's a program that's offered through Drake, and I'm talking about like actually having curriculum that uses that space.
Anything else?
We could be the school that sets people up for the social services, and that's what I was at. Because I love the psychology class. So I'm like, I mean, I guess that's science too. I mean, you could make everything science. But
All right. Item number 7, this is the policy committee. So I will turn the floor over to Vice President Taylor.
Thank you, Madam President. You have 2 second readings. Should we do the second readings tonight? At the next meeting.
We'll vote on them at the next meeting.
Read them tonight.
Yeah, you can
Okay.
just reiterate what they are if you want.
All right, so we have 2 policies this evening for second readings. JFE is student pregnancy and related condition. The changes are based on guidance documents for the rights and protections under law and to better reflect new federal rules written to ensure educational programming for the students who are affected by this policy. And KKA, recruiters in the schools. Once this policy was open, the language was also updated to more clearly match Ohio law. Biggest change is that in secondary schools, we must add student school email and phone to directory information and release that information to the military recruiters, except where parents have requested that it not be shared with recruitment officers. FERPA requires that we notify parents, and we do that notification through final forms. That is all.
Any questions or discussion on the policies? Okay, number 8, this is building and grounds. Miss Ballard is not here, but we don't have anything anyway, so we will just move on to number 9, which is the finance committee, and I will turn the floor over to our treasurer, Mrs. Camphouse.
Thank you, Madam President. The governor has released his biennial budget report, and testimony has started in the House Finance Committee and the House Primary and Secondary Education Subcommittee. The phase-in of the Fair School Funding Plan continues as planned without a hoped-for increase in phase-ins. We are less than 1/3 of the way phased in after 2 years using the Fair School Funding Plan. DPIA funding did have the phase-in increased, but that was before the biennial budget was released. The state is doing well enough financially to fully phase in this funding plan. In addition, the Fair School Funding Plan components are based on salaries from 2018, just 5 years ago. We could really use those salaries updated in this biennial budget. The governor did include large increases for community, charter, and non-public schools via vouchers. On the agenda, the CFO report, monthly financials, and change order listings are attached for your review. 9.02 on the agenda, appropriation resolution, is our current year budget. 9.03, I'd like the board to consider adding to the project scope at View Elementary. We had discussed this originally when we talked about the beautification project at View. Now we have the information back from our architect to add a retaining wall to the project scope. This will address some serious safety concerns towards the back of the property off of Drex. So when you look at the property, looking at View off of Drex, the hill starts off pretty gradual, but then by the time it gets to the end of our property, it is an extreme drop off, and that makes mowing and maintaining that hill very, very dangerous. So we had asked our architects to investigate a wall, and they came back with the estimates on that. It's going to be about $170,000. I would recommend that the board consider adding this to the scope, even though it's money that we do not want to spend, and it's not going to be pretty, but it will address the safety concerns and make it much easier for our staff to be able to maintain that hill. 9.04 easement at Sharpsburg Primary. This easement is a little different than the typical parking easement. This easement allows Springdale Nazarene Church the authority to modify their parking lot, extending it approximately 7 feet into Sharpsburg's Primary's playground. Now, you know we're doing a whole block planned over in that area, and we've reviewed the plans, and they were approved. But this easement, while it is not typical, the church has graciously allowed us parking privileges for many years, and after construction will continue to do so. This easement will be temporary during construction just for modifications, but will require the church to maintain this portion of the property. The easement also allows for ingress and egress on our lot for the church to use and vice versa. So there's just like a 7-foot piece of land that actually right now is not usable because it's up a really pretty steep cliff in between our playground and Springdale Nazarene's parking lot. This will allow them to add a double-sided parking, and you'll be able to drive through plus park either way, which will really add a lot more parking for the church on Sundays and for the school district Monday through Friday. So it's in our best interest to allow this. I will say that our attorney has drawn up these easements, and I have presented them to the churches for them to review, but they were drawn up by our attorney in our best interest. 9.05 Certificate of Substantial Completion, Williams Elementary School. The project at Williams is substantially completed, as approved by SHP Architects. In addition, the punch list is almost complete also. So we're getting to the end of the Williams renovation project. 9.06 Donations to the district. $100,000 from Shepherd Chemical to Norwood Ready Kids. Shepherd Chemical has been so great to this district and funding this very worthwhile program. We are thankful for their continued support, and I can't remember how many years it is, but it's been a 7th one.
And Glenna,
Yeah.
would you like to add anything to it? Because they're so generous, and without them, we wouldn't have Norwood Ready Kids.
We really appreciate it. We see in the data that our students do get this benefit. So,
Yeah.
and they arrive ready to school.
Yeah. And then Shepherd Chemical loves the data too, because they love seeing, that their money is going to a worthwhile cause, and they see the results. So that's really awesome too.
And I saw we had a field trip there earlier to Shepherd Chemical, so that's wonderful too.
Yeah, so they're
That-
helping all ages.
Yeah.
Because that field trip mentioned is a high school field trip.
Yeah.
And they are our business partner for our Business Advisory Council, which I will be with their representative coming up here at the end of the month.
That's great.
We're going to meet the Lieutenant Governor. So,
Yes.
The Lieutenant Governor is very interested in career tech and vocational.
Okay, back to donations. $1,000 from Springdale Church of the Nazarene to Sharpsburg Elementary School. This donation is from Parish Collections, specifically to help students with fines who couldn't afford to pay their fines. And then informational only, $1,000 from SHP Architects to Norwood Scholarship Foundation. I don't usually put anything on the agenda that's not actually changing our finances, because then the auditors ask me where the money is. So I put it on there that it was informational only because I knew you would like to hear that. It's a great thing for our students. 9.07 Butler County ESC contracted services for a student per IEP. 9.08 Cafeteria cash balance. To reverse part of the cash transfer from October 21st of 21, so that the action will be, the prior action will be part transfer and part advance. An advance is a loan and it must be paid back. But by law, we are not allowed to return a transfer from the cafeteria. So I have to change it into an advance and then advance it back. The cafeteria fund, of course, is not being used anymore because Milford runs our cafeteria program. In addition, anytime there's the least little bit of an expenditure from our cafeteria program, because it's a federal fund, I have to account for it. So I want the money gone. There can't be any expenditures out of it, and it pays back the general fund a very small portion of all the transfers that we've done over the years to the cafeteria fund. So then 9.09 is the other half of that after we change part of the prior resolution to an advance. The 9.09 advances the money back to the general fund, and it's about $70,000. 9.10 Attorney General Fiscal Year 23 Safety Grant to accept, approve the fund, and appropriate the budget for $9,307 in safety grant funding. We will use this money to purchase additional two-way radios for emergency communications and maybe a few other little small things that we can get with that amount of money. $9.11 school compensation agreement. I don't have that attachment on there because as of right now it is still in draft form and it is still confidential. We will discuss it later in executive session, but we must vote on this to approve it or disapprove it by February 28th and then get that information to the city so they know how to move forward on their side of the property agreement. Finally, 9.12 Dinsmore agreement to appoint special counsel to calculate or review district TIF compensations and to help negotiate new agreements. This is something they've been doing for us for many years. Just our contract is old. We needed a new contract, so this helps us become compliant. That is everything that I have for finance, and it was a lot. Are there questions?
Any questions?
No. I did try to have notes in the agenda also to try to explain things, so hopefully that was helpful.
I do have one question. So with what we're doing with the cafeteria fund, this completely ends that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. That will zero out that account, and then we have all of our contracts already completed with Milford, so that's been finalized for 2 years, so this is kind of like the last step.
Okay.
And I'll just echo the appreciation to Shepherd Chemical for that wonderful donation for Norwood Ready Kids, and they do so much for us. And a couple years ago, a few of the board members and Mrs. Ronan, we were invited to Mr. Shepherd's house to learn about some programming there, and he just a wonderful man and does wonderful things. So we are very appreciative for that. Anything else? Okay. So with that, we will move on to item 10, which is executive session. In accordance with ORC 121.22 G81, the information is directly related to a request for economic development assistance that is to be provided or administered under the statutes set forth in RC 121.22 G81, or involves public infrastructure improvements or the extension of utility services that are directly related to an economic development project. So I will motion that we move into executive session. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? Mrs. Camphouse?
Mr. Atwood?
Yes.
Mrs. Rarica?
Yes.
Mr. Taylor?
Yes.
Mrs. Cole?
Yes. Okay, so the time is 6:49 and we will enter into executive session. Thanks. All right, so the time is 7:16. We are back to open session. Item 11 on the agenda is adjournment, so I'll motion to adjourn. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, and we are finished, 7:16. Thank you.